we are talking about the Android architecture. So as I said, before starting developing the application for the Android, we should be pretty much comfortable with the Android architecture. We should be knowing what is present inside the app architecture, right? So it is similar to like how the human body behaves or how the human body works. So we are always curious. So when we were kids, we were always curious to know what is happening inside. So in the same way, when you start learning the Android platform, we are always curious to know so how it takes place inside. So Android is not a small platform. Android is a big platform and it has got a different layers. So very on the top you will have the application layer. So application layer will contain all the applications basically. So you will be having the different applications in the application layer, like home application, contact application, phone application, browser application. So basically, as a fresher, I would say, or when you will newly join any Android team, you will be working in the application layer. You would be creating different types of applications. Once you gain the experience creating the Android applications, like say down the line after 5 years, you can choose to work on the application or you can choose to work on the application framework. So what is the framework is? So what is a framework? So a very simple example I would like to give. So let's say if you want to create the dialog in Android, so we use the alert dialog class. So alert dialog class is used for creating the dialogs in Android. So we will just import that alert dialog and we would be showing the dialog to the user. But that alert dialog is also created by somebody, right? So it has been created by the Google engineers. So they have written some implementation that if you call the alert dialog, it should create a pop-up window. It should fade out the contents which are present below it. So all that implementation. So that implementation is a part of the application framework. So it contains set of the libraries which you would be using on the daily basis to create the Android applications. So I have seen that as an experienced developer, you would always work on the application framework because you have got plenty of experience. So you would no longer create the Android applications. You will also work on the application framework where you will create your own libraries to support the day-to-day tasks which you are doing. So that is the application framework. Then you will have some libraries. So basically what happens is the application framework that you create, ultimately they are intended to communicate with the Linux kernel. So very simple example I would take. Let's say you want to create a library which helps user to capture the photograph. So he would be using your library to launch the camera and capture the photograph. So ultimately what your library is doing, your library is calling the Android camera hardware. So it is giving the instructions to the hardware to just open up the camera and start capturing the picture. So what happens is the application framework communicates with the Linux kernel through the C libraries which are present at the very bottom level. So I would say those are the embedded libraries which are present at the very bottom. Those directly communicates with the Linux hardware. So as a Java Android developer, we would not be working on the libraries, but if you have got some experience in embedded systems or something like that, you can always work on that green layer, which is called as the embedded layer. So it goes sequentially. Your application communicates with the application framework, your application framework communicates with the embedded libraries, and finally your embedded libraries, they give the instruction to the Linux kernel over there. So that way communication happens. So as a beginner in the Android development, we would not be much worrying about the lower three parts, that is framework, libraries and Linux kernel. We would just use the APIs which are available and we would be creating our applications. Okay, so the libraries. So Abhi, yes, I would certainly go into more of a libraries. So what I would do is rather than going into theoretical topic, when we will start creating the application, I would point out to you to the different libraries. So there would be a session where we would be using the SQLite library. There would be a session when we will be using the media library to create the MP3 music and video applications. So I would say that each content or each code snippet, it is present on the different library. So we would be having a database example which would communicate with the database library. We would be having the audio example which will communicate with the audio library. We would be having the networking example which would communicate with the networking library. So something like that. So in a simple words, libraries are like a set of built-in code snippets, built-in application programming interface, which you would be using on daily basis to create your own applications. Okay, so the runtime that we use in Android, it is called as the Dalvik virtual machine. So many of you must have worked on the Java or have at least heard about the Java programming. So you must be knowing in the Java, the runtime that we use, it is called as the Java virtual machine. So in the same way, so that is also called as JVM. So in the same way in Android, the runtime that we have got, it is called as the Dalvik runtime. Okay, so what is the runtime that is present on Android? That is called as the Dalvik and ART. So ART is the new runtime which has been introduced in Android 4.0. So previously we used to use Dalvik, but now it has been replaced by the ART. So it is just a runtime which is responsible for converting your code in the executable, which can run on the device. So what is the core of the Android OS? It is the Linux. And I would say, what is the importance of the application framework? So it contains the set of APIs which you will be using on the daily basis for creating the Android applications for the platform.